Okay folks, now here's where the fun really starts. The home page is a bunch of new fun tools. The new client allows us to add a screening while doing the profile, and then the client ID hub allows us to get anywhere in eCast within a click. Now we're going to talk about the screening and diagnostic setup, the old patient accordion redone to be a little more efficient and add some information to what you have access to. So let's say we're looking for a specific client. We know their ID. We can do this search. We'll hit get client. That puts us right back into Jennifer Testington's ID. We've got all this stuff in here. And let's say that we want to add a new screening. So let's click add a new screening. The first thing we're going to see is this enrollment up here. And we want to ask ourselves, is this the most current enrollment? If it is, it's active, great, good to go. You can keep rolling as long as it's in the same calendar year and all this information is up to date. We do ask that you update insurance information on an annual basis. On one note on the enrollment status, on the client ID page, if you see that this is expired, when you click add screening, this will prompt you to re-up on the enrollment and redo the enrollment, add new information. If you see something here that needs to be updated, you can click on the edit pencil, and that will allow you to then edit the enrollment as you see fit. Let's bring this one up to date. Let's do a 10 for 2016 enrollment, and we'll keep them as a clinical services individual. So from here we can add screening information, and this is where it gets fun. So you'll pick your location, bolded, it's automatically in here, but just an entire de-identified set of all data in the ECAS system. So Boulder, thank you, we're gonna go with you. We're gonna choose screening and diagnostics, and we'll do a breast screening. So we're gonna pick our office date here. Let's say we go back to September 14th. We'll answer our medical history questions. We'll say that education was given, all else being no. Date of last mammogram is known, and that it's greater or equal to 2 years. Current mammogram reason is for a routine screening mam. Now once we've done this, we're going to click add, and we're going to go into a new updated type of screening and diagnostic environment. So here it is, folks. This is what used to be the patient accordion in ECAS, where you would see the medical history, screenings you added, follow-up diagnostics, case management, and final diagnosis. And you see those things over here. You'll note that we have a breast screening listed up here for this individual. And you note we already have an error here. We haven't entered any screenings. So it will prompt you when you click add screening to have this open on the right. And the idea of this page is that you add information or edit information over here, and then you will see it appear over here on the accordion. So for instance, let's follow through with what we're started on here. We're going to do a routine screening breast visit. So we'll start with the CBE, and we'll go with the funding source of WWC. We'll say the date of the procedure was the same as the office visit date. We'll say it was not suspicious. We're doing a screening, and we will pick a facility. So now you'll note we are in edit mode. If you wanted to click on anything else outside of here, you can't. You have to either update this procedure, and you'll see what happens when I hit update. It will pop up right over here, or cancel, and you can go back to just the screen as it was when you came into the screening. So let's hit update. And what happens is that the CBE now exists under screens. Your follow-up is popped up to let you know there are pending screenings still needing to be done, because we did note in the history that we are doing a routine screening mam. So if you wanted to edit the history piece, click on the pencil, and now you're in here and you can change any answers you need to. We're going to hit cancel to get out of here because we can't otherwise. It's totally blocked. So let's hit cancel. You can also change the enrollment here, which is marvelous, I think, for those folks specifically that have clinical services as well as CCGP. This is where you can change type of insurance, type of Medicaid, income, anything that you may need to update in the enrollment you can do here, and hitting update will automatically run ECAS through its paces and transfer your individual from a CCGP to a WWC clinical services client or vice versa. We'll have a specific training on that. But you can also get to the client info here. We've got to cancel to get out, but if you wanted to change the client information, you can go in and take a look at what you need to update here. And here's a good example of how you update race. You can add and or take out races depending on how the answer is given, and hit update. And then that's been updated for this particular client. So let's continue with our demonstration of screening and diagnostic. We've entered this CBE by clicking on procedure method and adding it. So we'll now add a mammogram. And we'll stick with WWC as the funding source. We'll say this mammogram came out as a benign finding. That's a screening mam. We'll stay with the same facility. We'll hit update. Now that mam is going to show up right alongside that CBE. So you've got the mam, the CBE here. If you wanted to go in and look at that procedure, you can click on that procedure and it'll open up here on your right. You can edit as you see fit there. As long as you click update, it'll update. Cancel to get out of it if you haven't updated anything or just want to back out. So we'll hit cancel here. Now, you'll note that we have this error sitting up here. This is a pending screenings not complete error. So we have two results here that mean that we can really close this out. So we can click on the pencil and update the follow-up to follow routine screening. We'll hit update. And what we have is a completed screening. So here's the fun part. Once you've done the breast screening, you've entered as much information as you can then click add screening. This is automatically going to go to either cervical or potentially cardiovascular if you are a YWO client. It'll give you the same office visit date. So we follow through the same data entry paths that we did with the initial breast screening. We'll say we did the cervical history. We'll enter all of this pertinent information as far as what we've gathered. We'll say the date's unknown, but greater than that, and let's do a routine PAP, and we'll click add. Now this will take us directly into a new cervical screening where we can then add screening procedures. We can add them by clicking here. We can add them by clicking here. Now let's do pelvic. Let's say WWC funded. Let's say that this one came back as an abnormal. And we'll hit update. We'll see that procedure pop up over here. Now you'll notice that further immediate also pops up because this would necessitate diagnostics. So let's complete the other co-testing we would put in, which would be HPV. We'll say that's positive. And then we'll click add another procedure here and we'll do the PAP test. Say satisfactory, liquid based, and we'll go with something atypical. We'll hit update. Now, from here, if you wanted to add diagnostics, you can click this plus button and add a procedure. So let's put a colpo in. And hit update. And then your diagnostic procedures show up just like those screening procedures show up right down here. Now, just a quick note on case management. You can go in and add contact types. It'll do the same thing it does for these individual things, where if you add each one in a date, it will add that instance in the case management field. And then for final diagnosis, we'll say return for routine screening, that we had a normal reaction. Now this date is always going to correlate to the last known diagnostic procedure. We'll click add. And because we finished out this final diagnosis, you'll see that the billing has changed to a 7 for this individual. So if we wanted to go back into that breast screening, you can click here. If you wanted to go back into that cervical screening, you can click here. You can toggle back and forth between the screenings you have. So if you needed to go in and update this one, you can do so. If you need to go back into the cervical one, you can do that as well. So the idea for this patient accordion is that you can edit all of this information with the pencils over here or the plus sign. And then once you are in edit mode, you're locked into data entry over here until you click cancel or update. Once you hit update, you'll see the resulting either procedure or change you've made over here. And that's essentially how we've redesigned it. Now, from here, you can always click, after we get out of being in locked mode, you can always click next to the client ID to get to any other piece that you need to get to. You can get to the enrollment here, you can get it down here, you can get to the demographics here, you can do the same thing in the client profile here. So there are multiple ways to get to the same information from the screenings page. So, hope you like the screening and diagnostics. Next we're going to tackle short-term follow-up.